Hi everybody, it is Christina at Scrapcraft and Stitchery, and I am working on Dephemerember today, and the prompts are grandma's buttons and snippets, and I've never made a snippet roll before, and I'm super excited to do one today. So what I have done is I have these handmade papers where I have just glued you can use tissue paper. I had this joss paper, which is like a Chinese paper that they use to fold gifts for their ancestors. But anyway, I had some of that just in my stash that I had gotten from somewhere. And it's very thin, like tissue paper, and I just glued it onto a piece of, I think this is like packing paper, light packing paper. With this one has some just loose tea bits and string, and I think we're going to do something like this, and I'm not going to use these. And then this is the same thing, and these are just kind of layering. You can see how thin these are where they layered, and you can see through them. But that's basically what I'm going to do today, is make a background to use for my snippet rolls, and then we'll decorate them, cut it down to probably around 2 inches, and then decorate it. So this is some rolling pages that I have made. So I was going to make something similar to what I just showed you using this. This is rolling pages. So I just have this that I've already made, and this is just obviously a bunch of book pages that I've glued together because I know, and I have some. This is a huge pack of, I bought a bag and it came with all of this really interesting tissue paper inside the bag, which I have been hoarding this up. So, because they gave me like, I don't know, this bag had so much just packed in it. It was kind of crazy. So I'm going to glue that down over this, and I think you'll be able to kind of see the book page, and we'll put like a layer of string and tea inside there, and we'll see how that looks, cut it into strips, and then make our snippet rolls from that. And I have a few things out. And we'll add some ribbon and some, like, I have these cool laces, and maybe I have this little owl, and I thought he could be really cute to include, as well as some buttons maybe. It's gonna start to get bulky. We're gonna see what we can find. So I also got out just these this paper that's got butterflies on it, that's just scrapbooking paper. So I have everything set up, and I think I'm ready to get going. If you have been on my channel recently, you have probably heard me say that one of the things I'm really working on is finding ways to use up book page, and this one I feel like is already at least kind of used up, in the fact that I am not starting from scratch. I've already been compartmental making. I wonder if this would be easier if I just turned this over. So I think this is actually the side where I put this rolling pages together, because I think because these all, the corners look like they're glued down. so I think I'm gonna start with this side. And so yes, I've already been hard at work, and I'm using clear gesso for this today. I have in the past, like when I made those other pages, I just used, so I'm just gonna, where these are like kind of peeling up, I'm just gonna go ahead and put some of this gesso behind them and go ahead and kind of connect them down at the bottom, right? Okay. So I've had this clear gesso and I've used it to kind of just prep work surfaces before I paint before, but I haven't really used this for anything else, because I would usually in this situation use matte medium. But somebody was asking in a live I was on, I was at Pam the Ginger Cat Ladies, and somebody came on and was asking, she was using just PVA glue, and they were asking if she had ever used the clear gesso for this kind of a thing. And I had never done that, even though I have clear gesso, because I would usually use matte medium. And I think this like whole thing, the rolling pages, I actually put together using just a glue stick, honestly, and glued these pages together the way that you see them. And this is left over from a much bigger project. I have about maybe 24 inches, maybe 18 inches from this project that I had done previously, which was I made book pages. And I am just going to crumple up this tea. I don't actually like these to be too big. I wonder if I should put that over the top now to kind of glue that in, right? And maybe I should just tear this up. I'm gonna tear it up. We're tearing it up. Okay, this is too big. Oh my goodness, this is, okay. Sorry, I did not test this out beforehand. I am kind of making it up as I'm going along. So I'm gonna just tear this into smaller pieces and put it down so that it's a little bit easier to work with, because I was gonna try and just lay down the whole sheet at one time. And you know what? I'm not gonna just lay down the whole sheet at one time. I think that that's way more than I want to try and deal with, and trying to keep this wet enough to work with, I think, while I try and get enough of a bit for a whole sheet would be. Plus, I think it's gonna come out with a really cool effect, as it's just the one color that's being yeah, you'll be able to see through the layers a little bit better this way. Okay, that tea smells pretty fantastic. All right, I have to say that. I wonder if anybody's ever done this with like coffee grounds. I generally don't drink tea, but I do like coffee, so I'm just wondering. I always have coffee grounds left over. This is like obviously fresh, brand new tea that I'm kind of using up out of my stash because I don't think I'm gonna drink it. So as you can see, like where it's overlapped, it's a lot thicker, and then you can see the lettering from the paper below in some places, and I don't know if you can really see that T too clearly right now. So we will continue to see how that goes. Well, we'll see. So I have all this thread. Somewhere I have a lot more thread, but of course, as the day has gone on, I had a whole thing of thread, and it was sitting in a thing on my desk, and I would kind of just pull from it occasionally if I needed a thing of thread. I'm just going to cut these up into bits is what I'm going to do. Preferably not individually, preferably as like a whole big thing. And some of this actually has some filter paper stuck up in it that I had sewn, and it got torn, and I just wound up tearing the whole sewing off of it because it wasn't going the way that I felt like, and I was a little frustrated. So I have these cool bits of thread that have this filter paper in it. That might be kind of a cool thing to add to after, so maybe I'll pull those out, what's left of them, and we can glue them back on to our snippet and add a little bit of sewing. We can add that in, maybe, into the paper. So, of course, I have seen both treasure books and Pam at the Paper Outpost, I know, have done videos making paper like this. I don't really know, have not investigated to see who was the first one. I don't know that it really matters. I'm just kind of having fun using my craft supplies and making some paper and working on this prompt. And like I said, this kind of, because I feel like this is a good, so we're talking about compartmental making, and we're doing compartmental making, and we're taking things that we have saved up in our stash, right? I previously made these rolling pages, and I am returning to this rolling pages, pulling this out of my stash. So this is like already one of the things with compartmental making. I made this for something else and have been keeping this for another time so that I can add to it now. And so that's with compartmental making. You make some extra, you keep it around and add it to your stash, and then you can add this to your pieces, either to, complete a piece, which and I do this all the time. So, I'll make this. The tricky part, I think, that you will find is remembering to come back to these things when you're going on to the next step. Remembering what you have. So, I mean, I think, but it does make for some very fun making, where it's kind of low stakes. You can just kind of make the thing, not really worry about what you're gonna do with it. So like for these pages that I made for this, I used a piece of this to make belly bands for my journal when I did Junk Journal July. And I had already made this and great paper and set it aside. And now, of course, I could have skipped this if I didn't feel like I had time to go ahead and do this, making this paper today. I could just grab that paper and go ahead and make my snippets off of that. However, because I have that available to me now, as I may have some of this paper left to do that. And it does allow you to kind of go ahead and play around. Just free play is kind of where I'm at and what I'm doing. Gosh, I'm having a hard time remembering the name of the person who was in that live. They have a channel, and they're kind of a smaller channel, and I wanted to remember them. I might stop and look up their name really quick as soon as I get this down, because I do kind of want to give them a little bit of a shout out for tipping me off to trying something new, because she is an artist and she was suggesting using the clear gesso because it gives a little bit of a different texture to your pieces, rather than using, like, you know, Elmer's glue or something. So I'm trying it out today. And so I have been really playing around with different ways lately to use up book page, but what I've been finding is kind of like spinning off of making master boards, and I've been doing like layering different kinds of paper. Like this is the tissue paper, obviously, and I'm layering tissue paper today, but layering, you know, just leftover bits of tissue paper over the top of book page. I'm playing around with layering book pages together, I guess, and then sewing them over the top of them. It's just really kind of fun and interesting, like some of the textures that I've gotten. I'm kind of almost tempted to get some fabric and add in here, and I might do that in a minute too. just because I've been wanting to play with some fabric, and I did see somebody who was making tags recently with book page and fabric, and I wanted to give that a go. And what I am learning is once I have an idea, I need to just go with it when I'm sitting in my chair and quit thinking about, oh, well, I'll try that later, because you know what? I never do. It's like I can keep adding, I can add it to the end of my to-do list. Or, I mean, like if I don't do it now though, I mean, I might not ever get it going because my to-do list is this thing in constant rotation and movement, and whatever I am sitting and doing is the priority, and that's kind of where I land. As I am going along with this, I am finding that working in small segments is going to keep this from drying out. I think whatever doesn't stick over here is going to go in the trash. So I'm not too worried about the fact that you can see I have a whole bunch of like tea that's just kind of loose and sitting on top of my paper now. Can you even see the tea that I've added? And I think this paper might be a little bit too thick and you can't really see it anyway. So, I might skip adding any more of that because I don't know that it's gonna really make a whole lot of difference in the end. I just don't think you're gonna be able to see that. I might try and leave these pieces that are on the top glued on and see if I can get them to adhere. But I don't know if that's gonna work either. I feel like this tissue paper is thicker and not as transparent as the other, as the Joss paper. I guess if you want to get Joss paper, go for that, maybe. Okay. Do we like that better? I maybe even like that better. Okay. So, I am going to say, I'm not going to tell you to not add the tea and the strings. I think you need to do it kind of on a paper by paper basis, because this right here, I think is just, I just wasn't getting the effect that I really wanted with the, so I got Speckled Egg, which is this kind of gray blue, and Rustic Wilderness, and this is Oxide, and this is Spray Stain. And I'm just gonna spray around, probably make a huge mess. Okay. Because I like blue and green. And let's see how these are going to spray on here. And I think I feel like I've seen somebody, there was somebody who was doing Junk Journal July with us, and she was German, and she had this really cool book where she just unfolded things, and it was like, and she started every one of her pages, I feel like, or a lot of her pages, with like, just like this, and I'm kind of having flashbacks to watching her do this, and I think she only speaks German, and I don't remember her name, and it was just really cool. So, thanks to her for that. And then we can try spraying some of this. If you don't like the splatter, you could kind of start to spray it with some water, and kind of have these colors move and mix together. It's kind of what they're meant to do. I don't know. Let's just spray the whole thing. Get in there. Go for it, Christina. Go for it. Okay. See what happens. We're getting some movement. We're adding some color. We're getting distressed. Getting distressed. Okay. Are you distressed? I'm distressed. Okay. It's very distressing. Oh. I have some Winsor & Newton. This is titanium white. This is a very opaque white, for whatever that's worth. I was going to use a more, I don't know, like neutral white or transparent white, like zinc white, but this is what I found. So I am just going to kind of scrape this on, I think, in places over this using just a palette knife. This is going, this is getting much, much grungier than I had originally thought about taking it. Honestly, with the sprays going on like they did. You can see that Luise and Barbara are both kind of influencing the grunge here. We shall see what we decide to make of this. But see, like here you can see gosh, it doesn't look, I can see that the green is really like coming up through this paint, which is in the blue here, is really, really kind of coming up. So that's kind of what I was thinking. Would be maybe potentially, that was kind of the effect I was looking for. Anyway, is what I'm trying to say. Was for sure what I was thinking and why I chose the white over doing something black. So yeah, I can really see it starting to come through. And like I said, I know that this paint is very opaque, and it will cover, but I am getting some mixing of the colors. So we'll see. I'm telling you, this is gonna be a lot more grungy than I thought, than I had in mind. I was thinking kind of sweet and, you know, grandma-ish. This is, I don't know. I like how this, like when I'm doing this, look at these crinkles and it's picking up the paint. That's pretty cool. Okay. I'm just playing around. Having fun. Playing with experimenting. That's what Barbara said. She said Dephemerember is for experimenting. And I feel like I have not been experimenting much lately and just kind of letting go and playing. I play all the time, but in this moment, I'm like, do I really play as much as I think I do? Because right now I am definitely playing with this. Okay, well, I am much happier with this than I was, that's fun. Okay. Now maybe we're ready to add some stamping to this. Okay. It was 2 layers too short the last time. I see it now. All right. This is fantastic. Oh, I'm excited now. Okay. So now I think, I'm going to add some stamping. And I have a big moth stamp that I think I want to use, and then maybe just some letters like writing, and I think that that's just a few things, and maybe I'll see something else that I like that's like a pattern. I also have this stencil, but I don't know if I'm going to use this now. Let's go with stamps on this, and then we'll cut it up into its various parts. So I'm gonna go find the stamps that I want, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I have dried this with my heat tool. I think it's still a little sticky down here, but I'm gonna go ahead and stamp over here. I just wanted to keep it so it's not getting acrylic paint onto my stamps. And I'm gonna start with this image because, and on this flatter side that doesn't have tea and other things, and I'm just stamping this in black and seeing, that was very bold. I was gonna stamp that onto someplace else first. Okay, so, you know, I have an image. I can kind of see it. I don't know if you guys can. It's actually kind of pretty. Okay. And so I'm just going to start stamping things around to build a little bit of a background. So I'm just kind of making this up as I go along. So like I'm trying to decide, like, am I going to sew this? Would that be easier to do once I have it in strips? I think that might be an easier step to do when it gets down into being more like in strips. I already am kind of a little bit out of room. I'm gonna be glad when I can roll this into a strip, and kind of take it and have that be. It really rocked on that one, and it is very blurry. Moved it, and that is what it is now. Okay, well, that one didn't really get on there. Let's try a different stamp. While I have this out, and I'm stamping away, maybe I want to do some images onto here. Maybe. See, look at how kind of sweet and cute that stamp is. It's just some little background. Okay, gonna put that over there. I have this says enjoy everything in some letters. This is the moth stamp I was talking about. That's kind of cool. It's very detailed, so we'll see how this is gonna look on my grungy background. So I'm gonna stamp this. I have this. I'm gonna put this underneath here before I stamp to see if I can get like clearer images of this, because if this doesn't come out clear and sharp enough, which I think that looks great. Okay, I'm happy with that. If I wasn't happy with this, then I would probably just go over and do some instead stenciling. So there we go. I think that maybe we probably stuck this. We probably have paint on the back side of this. Look at how pretty this stamp is. Oh my gosh, I got paint everywhere. I have my white paint on my palette over here, and I think that I probably have some of that in there. So there's that. I'm just using that as a towel at this point. So I have this other stamp, and I guess I'm going to use this too and go over this one more time just to kind of get a little bit better coverage. And I could really go to town with this, but I don't think I'm going to go too overboard. And then I have this final stamp, and I might leave this for kind of filling in that last bit. So this should, we've got this all figured out at this point. So this should go on fairly easily. This is just kind of like, just gonna go and fill in some of this blank background with this stamp. But I've made this, I like how this looks right now. I like the colors and everything that we have in here. It's yellow. Okay. I'm gonna tear this up, I think, and start doing snippets. I think is the next thing to do. And I kind of want to, so a lot of this has kind of a rough edge like this, and I think I'm gonna keep that, even though like here it's kind of big, here it's less so, and down here there's just like none at all, it's very straight. And then there's this, and I'm just gonna leave those things, and so I need to decide about how much I want to make of this. This is like super gooey. Why are you so gooey? Okay, what a mess. We have been messy today, which is great. I love it. This is like being a kid. So I could tear this into strips like this, but I want the long strips, right? I want some long strips. I want to make this all into one long snippet roll that's gonna be okay. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm just gonna fold this in half, and we're gonna do this blind. Okay, and we're going to mark this off every 2 inches. Okay, that's marked. That was the fancy way we're doing this, and that's where the halfway point is. And I'm just gonna rip this into halves. Okay, that's do we want them that big? I think 2 inches is fine. And so this should be about 6. That's about 6. So maybe is what I'm gonna do is, instead of going in halves, I'm gonna go like 2 inches and 4 inches, and I'm just gonna mark that with my handy dandy pen that's hiding way back there. I'm gonna have so much snippet, strip it, and then 6. And so there's that. And then I'm gonna just, this is less than 6 inches, so I'm just making, this is about half, and that's about half short. So this is gonna be a little bit shy of 2 inches, and you know, that's okay. The, you know, measuring police are not gonna come get us. This is not an exact science, is all I'm trying to say. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do my almost 2 inches, and the other one's going to be really about 2 inches, and this one will be a little bit shy of 2 inches. And so what I might do is, I mean, I could keep these. This one will be 2 inches. So we can go a little bit over, because that was 2 inches from here to here would be 2 inches. And so I've just gone a little bit on the side of the line, so that splits it a little bit. And now we have long strips that are like, I don't know, I'm gonna call them 2 foot strips. And now we're getting down to the fun bits. Hopefully these don't all stick together, because, you know, they were still a little bit wet, damp, whatnot. Okay, I'm gonna go get some cold water. But first, let's look and see, because we gotta stay hydrated, right? I'm so less cranky. Okay, so I have this strip. Okay, how long are these? How long are these? This is 15 inches, and this is another 9.5 inches. So this is about 24 inches, 24.5 inches. So we have 24 inches, and I have 6 of these guys. So I have 2 feet, 4, 6, 8, right? 8. And look at this, that's cool. That's got like, I mean, some of it's got like this, which is like just at the end, there's some leftover. You could tuck that underneath. That's 8. And now we have that. And here we have a little bit of like that thread is hanging out, and it's kind of come out on that side. And hopefully you like grunge, because there is another. So we had 6 times 2 is 12 feet of this. Okay, this is decent. We have 12 feet of snippet roll, and so clearly today I am kind of leaning towards this maroon color, and I was kind of considering, I had thought something about orange earlier, so I got that. And this blue color, I don't know if I like these per se together, but I do usually like teal with everything. So I got a lot of teal out. I got this other kind of more neutral lace and this other lace, and here's a yellow. That might be maybe a little bit better. It's very neutral ivory kind of color. And I got some rickrack. That would be fun. I just found this extra tiny bit of this other lace that I had worked with earlier. As well as I got, this is kind of cool. I made a journal out of this other kind of natural. So I don't think I'm going to use all of these things. And then I got this piece of, this is Aida cloth for doing cross stitch and embroidery. I might use a couple of pieces of this because it's a very interesting texture. It's really heavy and really thick, so I don't know if I'm going to use a lot of this or if I'm going to use it at all, but I wanted to like pull it out as an option. So yeah, I'm probably going to cut this into relatively small strips that would go onto here. So let's just make a little bit, I don't know which way this is going to rib. There you go. Look at that. Good girl. These are some very thin strips that you wouldn't want to really sew with, but I think if I make a couple of those, that'll kind of give me a little bit of option. These are kind of staying in these very neutral colors. Okay. So what I want to do is maybe cut this down and cut this down and cut this down until I have pieces that are a fun and interesting size. So I have sewn these and I will show you what I got. I used this one. I wasn't very happy with how this came out after I had glued on my bits and pieces. So I used this as, but I went to do some stitching on it. So I stitched on black, and obviously I just did a zigzag stitch along the edges, and did some just a couple 4 lines of just meandering sine wave stitching along here. And I have to tell you, looking at this now, I really like it a lot better than I did. I like the layers of the paint and the stamping and the lace, and I'm just really a lot happier with how it looks now with the stitching than I was before the stitching. Before the stitching, I didn't really prefer this, but like, I mean, this just, it looks so much more cohesive now, I guess. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna just find some places where like this is still loose to my mind. So I might put a button on top of there. And then this one, and this feels really, really cool. It feels like it's cloth, even though it's really just a base of book page and then tissue paper with some paint on top. It feels so cool. I've run out of thread here, actually right there. And so there's just holes, which is also just kind of cool. I am gonna try and find some pliers and pull out this. There's just some really fine wire there, and I'm either gonna just trim it off with my scissors, which I shouldn't do, but do as I say and not as I do. My scissors are hiding from me. Haha, I find you. I stuck them up there away. Just because I don't want to get stabbed later. But, yeah. Those are some very, very fine wires in there to hold that ribbon together. So I'm just gonna go through and look and see what kind of fun buttons I can get. And like I said, I had a friend who gifted me this jar of buttons, and she is a grandmother, so these are grandmother's buttons. Let's see what's in here, shall we? And see what we want to use versus what we don't want to use. I'm just gonna pour them all out. Ooh, this one's a fun wooden one. It's very bulky. That's kind of fun. Maybe we'll put that on there. Ooh, I like that one. That goes with our colors. I think this is also a wooden button. Ooh, thank you, Bridget. I'll tell you a story since you're here towards the end of this. So, this is from my friend Bridget, and she was, we used to hang out when I lived in Seattle, and I'd come over and she'd always have me, ooh, this one's like mother of pearl. And, I was actually engaged to her son, and we were going to move to Ireland, and I guess, I don't know, I got cold feet or something. Anyway, yeah, we'll go with that. I wound up not moving to Ireland. He had moved already before me, and he wanted me to move to Ireland as well. And, it just wasn't gonna work for me. And I tried really hard. I really, truly did. And, so anyway, but we remained friends with his mother, and I would go out to her house and like spend the night and whatnot. These almost look like beads. I have no idea. That's like a sequin. This is maybe like a sequin repair kit. Wow. Okay. These are cool. These are like metal, and they have like a metal plastic. Okay, so they're plastic, and they have the like green and red, but then they have this like metal band around the edge, and this will not work with the project I have, but those are super cool. I'm gonna throw those back because we're not gonna use those. I do like the idea. I'm gonna put this pink one away, and that one's just kind of, I'm not gonna bother to hand sew something that plain on. That one's kind of fun. It could look good on here. Anyway, so Is that the story? I was going to move to Ireland with a guy. This was like 10 years ago or something. I don't know. It would have been, yeah, it would have been right around 10 years, more or less, ago. And I just couldn't do it. I went to go visit him because he had moved over and we were dating, and he moved over there. He had grown up. He was born in Africa, in, I can't remember where. His parents had a ranch down there. His mom was a nurse and she was Irish. I think his dad was English, and they had a farm down there. I don't know what's going on with these. They have some color on the back. Anyway, and they moved back to Ireland when he was like a child, and he had then grew up in near Limerick, and he just always wanted to go back and live there because they moved to Texarkana, which is in Arkansas, when he was in high school. And then he grew up here, and then when he was around 40, he was like, well, that's enough of living in the U.S. And he was living in Seattle at that time. And his sister had moved there, and the whole family kind of moved to Seattle. But he always wanted to go back, and so he just decided one day to move back to, this is kind of a metal button, it's very cool, to Ireland, and he did. He had some really good friends there that he could stay with until he found a job, and he wanted me to go, and I tried to go, but I just couldn't give up, my whole entire life and everything that was important to me to go. So, but because I had spent so much time and effort kind of thinking about moving to Ireland, when the opportunity came for me to move to Memphis, I had kind of downgraded my stuff, thinking that I might be moving someplace, and I had started to do that before I decided it wasn't going to work out. And so since I had already convinced myself that it was time to move on, I had the opportunity to come and take a job at St. Jude in Memphis, and I jumped on that, and that is really the story of how I came to be here. But in the meantime, I made friends with his mother, and we were really good friends, and she was getting ready to move into her daughter, and her bought a house in Seattle, and so they both sold houses and bought another house that had like a apartment where Bridget could live. So anyway, that's a long story about how I got these buttons. So these were fun buttons, which again did not come from my grandmother, but buttons from grandmother, Bridget, my friend. So, thanks to her, she is a lovely, lovely, outgoing woman, and we have had a lot of fun together hanging out. Highly recommend, if you get to meet Bridget, go ahead and do it. I had tea with her when the president of Ireland came to the U.S. She called me up and said, would you like to have lunch with Michael Duncan, the president of Ireland? And I said, sure. And I did. She was in the Irish seniors group, which was pretty great group and did a lot of things. But when the president of Ireland came, he met with the group and had lunch with them. So that was also fun. Always loved hanging out with Patrick's mom. She was a blast. And then, I mean, we were in one year the parade there for St. Patty's Day. We were right in the Ducks in downtown Seattle. I think it might have been raining. Great fun. Okay, so I went downstairs and I found new thread because the thread I had wouldn't go through the hole of this button, grandmother's button. And so I went through and I found, look at these. These are button and buttonhole threads, and these are pure silk. It's 10 yards of silk twist, and I have 2 of these that are this color, and these are very vintage, and these got these beautiful little wooden spools. And I'm going to use this one because I love this orange. And I wanted to put some orange on here anyway, and it kind of goes with this as well. So I'm going to use this orange rather than this kind of taupe color, which would also look lovely. But I wanted orange, and I'm doing the orange. And this is just so precious and so special. And so I was very hesitant to go downstairs, but now I'm super happy because I just get to use this beautiful silk thread for putting my buttons on. Absolutely. I mean, this is just core. I mean, you can see it. It's like such nice thread. Okay. Now love. I'm so lucky I have this. Okay. If I can. Okay, I have to take my glasses off for this. I can't even see that with my glasses on. This thread. Oh, I'm dying. This is beautiful thread. Oh, I've never seen anything like this. It's just, this is really truly special, guys. Oh my gosh. I can't even. I wish that you could all see this thread. Okay. Okay. We got it. Do not fear. Okay. This project just got really super special. Okay. So let's go back to trying to sew all of these things together with this ridiculously large needle. Okay. which actually does go through the hole. And bullet. So let's just pull that nice and tight and tie this off. Right over left, left over right. And we'll look at what we've done. And I want to say a special thanks to everybody who's doing some Dephemerember and participating and posting lovely videos that are just so inspiring. Gajana at Diary of a Creative Therapist, she commented on my video last week, and she has such a great channel. Please check her channel out. She is lovely. She's a psychotherapist in New Zealand. She's German. She always has something really super reflective to say, and she gets a lot out of her journals, a lot of meaning out of everything she's doing, and shares that, which is really cool. I love listening to her videos. And yes, so check out her channel, and to Susan Gazaway, and who I watch, and she participates in a lot of these things, and she's doing Dephemerember, I know, and I've seen some of her videos, and those are the only ones that I've gotten to see beyond Barbara and Luise's. So we did this one, and these are kind of, I mean, finished strips, and this is about 2 feet here and about 2 feet here, and I am super excited. I'm going to roll these. I don't know if I have anything per se to roll them around. I do have some twigs I could put in here, but I'm just gonna roll these up, and I was really hesitant to use the buttons because I really wanted these rolls, right? And look at that. I really love the way that these came out because I wasn't really sure once I had glued on my pieces of fabric and stuff. I didn't really like them until I went and did the top sewing, and I am so glad that I did, because now that the top sewing just kind of really changed how I felt about these. So I was super excited to get this roll of beautiful snippet. So now I can just roll this out and make a belly band, and I think this will look really cool, just like this in a journal, as like maybe a pocket on the side if you wanted to sew it on, or something. Or I mean, yeah, there's lots of ways you could use this. So I have not, maybe I will pull this out for one of the other prompts. I don't know. Going forward, I haven't really looked into that. But yeah, once I got the stitching done, I think that really kind of turned it around. And I still have some unfinished bits, so I could skip right straight to the sewing for some of these strips. I could use them in my journal the way that they are. I could go a lot of different ways, or I could do something very simple, like when I go to do this, if I wanted to, I could just add some ribbon down the middle or something, and I think that could look really cool and add a little bit of flair to these. Or just go straight to the sewing, and I think that would be cool. But I really do love this kind of grungy paper strip that I've made. And there is some of that thread hanging out, so maybe that's kind of a little more worthwhile than I had thought to add to this. But I really love where the paint and the inks look like that. I think it's just fantastic. And I have 4 of these, so I will be adding these to my Dephemerember box as well. And this is just really fabulous. So, very grungy indeed. And I'll show you, hold on. I have these 3 journals, which are nature journals. I actually have not, see, look, I still have not bound that one. But these are just 2 nature journals, which I have bound. And I do think, look at how cool this looks with this. So, I think, gosh, oh golly, I think I might just put that on there, right like that. Look at that. I like it just like that. These papers in these journals were really made in a very similar way. Because they do have the inks sprayed and then just some stencil over the top and then some splatter, and just gorgeous. So this might actually be the journal where I go ahead and use some of this snippet roll, because it's very grunge and it's a very natural outdoorsy color. And that gold like paint splatter is just really, really pretty journal. Just gorgeous. So I do think that I will probably come in and do, I mean, that could be a belly band right there. Right? Wouldn't that be fabulous? It just looks really good. So I am set. I am making ephemera that's going to fit in, because, you know, as I'm going along, I'm gonna for sure be, even though I'm just making random ephemera, it is gonna fit into my journals, because these are my journals, and I, you know, kind of just keep doing the same things over and over and over again. And I know that's kind of like, some people are really concerned about whether or not these pieces are going to be able to add them to their journals, and I don't think that is such a worry, for me at least, because this is kind of how this goes. Either I will get inspired by a piece of ephemera and make a journal that fits that particular piece, but 2, I mean, these are just kind of the things that I'm making anyway. And I made these papers like back about probably closer to the first Dephemerember, so I'm now just kind of getting some pieces that can go with this. I like that. I think that looks great. I think that that is fantastic. So I know where my snippet rolls are going. And I like the simpler ones. I'm not even sure if I can call this a snippet roll. what do you have to technically be a snippet roll, but I will be adding these and probably adding a lot to this journal now that it's just kind of coming back around to me. This was actually, I made this in December when I was off work for Christmas, and I just had papers like strewn all over my entire apartment. Then I have moved into a house since then, but look at that. Oh, yum yum. Yum yum, yum yum. And then I stenciled over the top. Just beautiful. Beautiful papers. And some of these are really, I mean, this is like a tissue paper again. Great papers to work with. They're very fragile though. Okay. I wanted to show you that. Look at this. I mean, this is not even a whole journal page, but I think that adds just enough that I can probably just move on from there. Okay. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to quit talking. I am going to get out of here. I'm going to try and clean up a little bit and edit this and stick it out there so you can see it. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to everybody who watches. As always, I will see you. This is Monday, so I will see you on Tuesday. And I have misplaced my card again. So, I bet you it's in this journal. I bet you it is in... I looked everywhere for this. Okay, so tomorrow will be... Oh my gosh, December 9th. That's crazy. Altered envelope and coffee mug stains. We might have some real coffee mug stains. How's that for your viewing pleasure? Okay. Because, you know, you gotta have your junk journal magic juice. Fantastic. And then we'll have a day off for Wednesday, and then we'll do leaves and envelope and owl. And I did not put my owl on here, but I have an owl. So be on the lookout for that. And I love ya, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.